Life doesn't beat you up only when you're down. We had everything: love, careers, and a happy marriage. It seemed like I had nothing to worry about in this world. Well, that was then, and now everything is different. It's been about a month since Tony first accused me of being a dirty, cheating bastard. It came as a real shock to me because I don't even look at other women. I have everything I ever wanted or needed right here at home. Obviously, someone is lying to my wife, but she won't tell me who it is. No matter how hard I tried to explain to Tony, she wouldn't listen. I know how stubborn she can be, but this time it's not about what color to paint the house. We don't usually fight. I just let her vent or give in. But not this time. I'm not going to admit to something I didn't do. Today I'm going to get to the bottom of this, no matter what it takes. Please, can you step away? I'm going to be late for my meeting. Of course, I'll step away. Just tell me who told you this nonsense. I don't know what you're talking about. Please, I'm already late. You know how important this meeting is to me. It could mean a long-awaited promotion. Is that more important than our marriage? I'll sit here in front of this damn door until you tell me who told you I'm cheating on you. Why, so you can go and beat him up? She hissed. Yes, quite possibly. Listen, I've told you 1,000 times that I don't have another woman, but you'd rather believe someone else. That's why I'm not leaving until you tell me. You're acting like a child, and it doesn't suit you. Now will you leave? No, I won't leave until you tell me. This isn't over until we get to the bottom of it. You've been treating me like shit for a month, and I'm tired of it. Tell me who she is, and I'll get out of your life. Fine, if that's what you want. It was Jane. She saw you and that woman at Mindy's with your hands on her ass. Are you happy now? Now get out of my way. I'll do better than that. I'll get out of your life. I left the bedroom and went to the garage to give my wife a chance to leave for her damn important meeting. I should have known it was that bitch Jane, one of Tony's friends. She couldn't keep a man, so she probably won't rest until she destroys our marriage, too. Tony and I, Bill, have been happily married for 5 years. It seems like we only argue when the word divorce comes up in conversation. I can't explain why she annoys me so much. She's just one of those people I didn't like from the start. Tony seems to think Jane is perfect so she can have him. My wife can be very stubborn, and I'm the first to admit that I'm not much better in that regard. She's the best friend I've ever had, which is why it's so hard to leave her. My patience is running out, and I love her too much to stay and keep fighting. As soon as Tony left the house, I started packing all my things into the car. She doesn't trust me anymore, and I'm not going to fight it. I was accused, tried, and convicted without being given a chance to explain that I was truly innocent. It seemed like it didn't matter that I wasn't even at that trendy bar, Mindy's. Hell, I don't even drink that often, and when I do, it's not at places like that. An hour later, I left home for good. Earlier that day, I had rented a room, realizing that I'd had enough of all the nonsense Tony had been pulling over the last month. If she chose to believe Jane's word about something that never happened, then so be it. I had talked until I was blue in the face, but it didn't help. On Monday morning, I was sitting in Ralph's office accepting a job offer I had turned down 2 months earlier. Tony didn't want to move so far away from her family, and now there was nothing keeping me there. It was the best job with real career prospects, 1,200 miles from the home that had once been mine. Sign me up, I can start on Thursday. About 200 miles from my new life in Phoenix, my cell phone rang. It had to be Tony, wondering where I'd been for the last 2 days. This is Bill. Bill, where are you? Where were you when I got home? Are you okay? She sounded concerned. Why don't you ask Jane? She seems to know everything about my life. You wouldn't believe you. Bill, can't you just answer me? Don't be an idiot. What's the matter, Tony? You don't like it when you don't get what you want? I've been trying to talk to you for over a month. Now I'm tired of talking. I turned off my phone and just drove away. I'm probably making the biggest mistake of my life by leaving Tony. I love her with all my heart. I just can't imagine life the way it was before. It's not good for her or for me. She refused to talk about our relationship, and I knew that nothing would change on its own. I bought a new phone and asked my new secretary not to put any calls from my wife through. She didn't know what to think of her new boss. I must have seemed like a complete idiot to her. I briefly told her that we were getting divorced, and she nodded, expressing her understanding. I started working and put all my energy into it. I had no other life to worry about. Now it was just me. I contacted a lawyer to start divorce proceedings, told him all the details, and said I just wanted to get it over with. I really just wanted to move on. 2 weeks passed, and my lawyer called me. He said that Tony wouldn't agree to a divorce without talking first. Well, what was there to talk about? I didn't see the point in talking to her now. She refused to talk to me before I left. I refused and told him to do whatever he had to do, let her take everything if she wanted it. I knew he wouldn't agree. A shark never shows that it's weaker than the other fish in the tank. At that moment, the timing of the divorce didn't matter much to me. I had no personal life and didn't need another woman's problems. If Tony wanted to fight, let her fight. Maybe she'd feel the same way I did when I tried to talk her into saving our marriage. I missed her, but I didn't allow myself to wallow in self-pity. I can't say that Jane's visit was the last thing I expected, but I can say that it was on par with meeting the abominable snowman or being abducted by aliens. She showed up at my door on Saturday morning as I was getting ready for work. "Well, Jane, this is a surprise. You came back to stab me in the back again or rub salt in the wounds I already have?" "I think I deserve it." "Oh no, Jane. You don't even deserve to breathe the same air as other people. You're not even a pathetic excuse for a human being. Now get out of my sight. You've ruined my life enough." "Bill, give me a minute. I want to apologize. I drove all night to make things right." "Get out, Jane," I said, pushing her away. I got in my car and drove to the office. How brazen of that girl. She must have really thought I would believe her lies. Jane was a stunningly beautiful woman with a personality like tofu. I was so angry that I couldn't concentrate on anything, and the silence in the office on Saturdays usually allowed me to finish tons of paperwork. At noon, I gave up and went to the store to buy a few things before heading home. Well, she was still sitting on my doorstep. "I already told you that you're not welcome here." "Yes, Bill, I understand. But I need to talk to you. Bill, I really need to use the bathroom. Can I come in for a minute, please?" Damn, sometimes I just don't understand why I do what I do. But I let her in. She ran to the bathroom, and I took the groceries to the kitchen and started putting them away. Maybe it would be easier to just get it over with, and then she'd leave me alone. A few minutes later, she came back looking very relieved. "Jane, just say what you need and leave." "Bill, I know you don't think very highly of me. I also know that you know I was the one who convinced Tony that you were cheating on her. I'm sorry Tony lost you, but I don't regret what I did." She said this as she moved closer and unbuttoned her blouse. "Stop it, Jane." I raised my hand to stop her from coming closer, but she kept moving toward me, and my hand ended up on her chest. Her small hands wrapped around my wrist, holding my hand in place. "I want you, Bill. I've wanted you since the first time I saw you. I just want to be with you." "No, stop it, Jane. It'll never happen." "Why, Bill?" "You're forgetting a couple of things, Jane. I can't, damn it, look at you. I love Tony, not you." "Why, Bill, can't you just tell me? What's wrong with me? What does Tony have that I don't?" Tears streamed down her cheeks. "You're not serious, Jane? You really don't know?" "No." "Damn, I'll have to add stupidity to the list of your problems. Jane, to put it bluntly, you're a bitch. Look what you did to Tony, and she was your friend. She supported you when no one else would. She trusted you. Look what you did to her. That wasn't love. That was greed. You really need to see a psychiatrist. You need help." "But Bill, I love you. I did it for you, for us. Can't you see that Tony never loved you the way I do?" "Enough, Jane. We're going around in circles. I think you'd better leave. Have you ever talked to someone and felt like your IQ dropped? I just experienced that. Jane was so used to getting her way that she never considered anyone else's opinion. All she cared about was what she wanted. I've never met anyone so self-absorbed, and I hope I never do again. Things were going well at work. I had been there for 6 months, and the extra time I put in was paying off. I was offered a position as executive vice president. The only downside was that I would have to return to the head office where I had worked before. I hadn't spoken to Tony except through my lawyer. The offers made to my lawyer were so ridiculous that we made no progress in the divorce case. I think when I get back, I'll have to sort things out, even if it means talking to her. A couple of weeks later, I moved and settled into my new job within a month. It's funny how the higher you climb the career ladder and the more you get paid, the less work you have. I spent a few days looking for a place to live and settled on an apartment not far from the office. I really didn't need a big house. It made me think back to how Tony and I used to dream about the day when we could afford to move out of the city. We always dreamed of buying a house in the country and having 2 children. Now those hopes and dreams of a young couple in love seemed unattainable to me. I felt like an old man preparing for retirement, not a young guy at the top of his career. I was surprised when Tony's mother, Ruth, called me. I hadn't heard from her in a long time. Not since we broke up, probably on her last birthday. We used to get along pretty well, so this call promised to be interesting. "Ruth, it's good to hear from you. It's been a long time. How are you?" "I'm fine, Bill. I wanted to ask you what you told Tony. She's acting crazy and we can't get through to her." "Ruth, I haven't spoken to Tony in over 6 months. I only got back to town 2 weeks ago." "Wait, what do you mean only? Where have you been?" "Tony thought I was having an affair, Ruth. One of her friends told her she saw me with another woman, and she didn't believe me when I said it wasn't true, so I left her about 7 months ago. I got a job in an office in Phoenix for a while, and I just got back to town." "My God, she told us you were going away for a few weeks. She didn't say anything about you leaving." "Ruth, why didn't she tell you? She talks to you on the phone almost every day." "Bill, you haven't talked to her in months? I mean, at all." "I'm sorry, Ruth. Only through lawyers, but she doesn't want to agree to a divorce." "Divorce, Bill, you don't know, do you?" "No, how could you, if you haven't talked to her? My God." "Ruth, can you include me in the conversation, or do you need to be alone?" "Bill, are you sitting down?" "What's going on, Ruth? What happened?" "Tony's pregnant." "What? How? When?" "Bill, calm down. She's 8 months along." "What do I do? My God, I didn't know." "My God, what do I do?" 8 months. She knew she was pregnant when we were fighting. Does that change anything? She believed Jane over me. I don't understand what choice I had at that moment. I don't know if I can just forgive her. Damn, what am I thinking? Maybe she doesn't want me back. Sometimes I'm such a selfish jerk. We both need to make a decision. I left work early and told my secretary I might not be back until the end of the week. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew I needed to see Tony as soon as possible. We had both clearly made mistakes that had made the situation worse, and we needed to see it through, whether we liked it or not. Tony was due to return home in 8 months, and given that the deadline was approaching, I doubted she was still working. The house looked the same as it had when I left, still in need of repair, and the screen door needed replacing. I still didn't know what to say to her when I rang the doorbell. I stood there waiting, realizing that I was doing this for the first time in my life. I felt like I didn't belong there anymore. "Oh my God!" "I can't breathe," was all she managed to say before she collapsed on the floor unconscious. Tony looked worse than I had ever seen her. No makeup. Her hair was a mess. She probably hadn't washed in a long time. I rushed to the phone and called an ambulance, asking them to hurry. I held Tony in my arms for the first time in 6 months, and she didn't even know I was there. It seemed like forever while we rocked together, waiting for the ambulance to arrive. I kissed her forehead and told her everything would be okay. On the way to the hospital, I called her mother to tell her what had happened. They lived 50 miles away, but Ruth said they were on their way. The nurses made me wait outside in the emergency room, and I went to the desk to fill out the paperwork. Soon, her mother and father arrived, and we went into the waiting room. I saw her father looking at me and felt like a prisoner awaiting sentencing. We sat in silence, waiting for news about Tony's condition, and every time someone walked by, I looked at them hopefully. The tension was almost unbearable, and I sat with my head in my hands. Don, Tony's father, brought me a cup of coffee and sat down next to me. He didn't speak, but we both felt the tension between us ease. After what seemed like an eternity, the doctor finally arrived. Tony was in a condition known as preeclampsia. Her blood pressure had skyrocketed, and the added stress of my presence had caused her to lose consciousness. The condition was serious for both her and the baby, and the only way to stop it was to deliver the baby. Tony had an emergency C-section and was unconscious but regaining consciousness. The baby was in intensive care, and since he was premature, it was too early to say anything about his condition. Yes, I had a daughter. It was some consolation, but the threat still hung over my head. It looked like Tony was going to be okay, but the baby's condition was still uncertain at that point, and I was worried, but what about Tony and me? Would we be able to find a way to heal old wounds? Or was it over between us? I hadn't spoken to her yet, and I really hadn't had time to sort out my feelings. I sat and waited for Tony to rest a little so we could talk. Now things weren't much easier, but the focus had shifted. I was no longer worried about her health, but about whether we had a future. Would the fact that we now had another life to take care of change anything? I knew Tony would be a good mother, and I would certainly try to be there for my daughter. But could we do this as a family? Tony always wanted children. She had brothers and sisters. I was an only child and used to being alone. That's why it was so easy for me to walk away from her a few months ago. It wasn't that I didn't love her or didn't want to fight for her. I just didn't know how to do it without hurting her. I had never seen love and fighting go together. It was a strange discovery that brought me to tears. Now I understood that Tony could be angry with me and still stay with me, which is why she was so shaken by my departure. But I still didn't know why she hadn't told me about our child. Damn, if I had talked to her, she would have told me. I'm an idiot. That's the last thing I remember Tony saying to me. Don't be a jerk. If anyone was to blame for all this, it was Jane. Jane baited the hook, Tony took the bait, and I got caught, plucked, and fried. It was late when the nurse came for me. Tony wanted to see me now that she was awake. I went to her room, not knowing what to expect. "Bill, it really was you. I thought I was dreaming," she whispered weakly. "Are you feeling okay now?" I asked, holding her hand. I didn't want to rush things, so I decided to go with the flow and see how she reacted to my visit. "I'm very tired right now, but the doctors say I'll be fine." "Bill, I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I don't blame you for leaving. I understand what a bitch I was. I know that an apology isn't enough after the way I behaved." I put my finger to her lips. "Let's call a truce for now. I have so much to tell you, but first we need to make sure our little girl is okay." I hugged her as tightly as I could, considering her condition. I felt tears running down our cheeks and mixing together, dripping onto my chin. We clung to each other as if our lives depended on it, and in a way they did. I hadn't felt this way in a very long time. Ruth and Don stood in the doorway, smiling at each other, not wanting to break the moment. I whispered to Tony that we had visitors and wiped the tears from her face. We talked for a while, but luckily they left after a few minutes. I sat down next to Tony, who was sleeping peacefully. The next morning, a cozy silence reigned, and we were happy to be together without awkward conversations trying to entertain each other. At least, that is, until the new, important woman in my life entered the room. Little Donna, named after Tony's father, entered our lives with cries and demands to be fed. I watched as Donna took Tony's breast into her mouth for the first time. I had missed every stage of her birth except conception. I knew that my anger and pride had robbed me of many special moments. But now I was witnessing something special and was determined not to miss anything in her life if I could help it. Words cannot describe the emotions a family experiences at such an intimate moment. Yes, I said, family. Tony and I had a lot of work to do to fix our mistakes, but we were still a family. I hadn't talked to her about us yet, but her look told me a lot. Her look told me that I had all the answers. Jane had created tension in our marriage. We had communication problems, and we were too stubborn to talk about it. If Tony had trusted me, there would have been no problems. And if I hadn't run away, we would have worked things out. Tony finally realized that Jane was jealous of her and broke up with her. I spent all my time in the hospital until Tony was discharged a few days later. Donna remained under observation, but she was also discharged a few days later. I don't want to go into the details of our reconciliation because there's not much to tell. We both realized that we had acted irresponsibly and that we were to blame for what had happened. Neither of us stopped loving the other, and we both let the situation get out of hand. My biggest regret is that I wasn't there for Tony when she really needed me, and she regrets not trusting me. Jane's name is no longer mentioned. We have put all that behind us and are looking forward to the birth of our son in a few months. In the few months that we were separated by someone else's jealousy and greed, we grew up a lot. I never fixed the screen on the front door, but before selling the house, we painted it the color Tony wanted. Now we're living our dream in the countryside, but I'll never stop looking back. A happy life can be turned upside down when you least expect it. I no longer take what I have for granted because it almost cost me everything.